So by creating this garden as a place of remembrance, our founding fathers wanted generations to recall the darkness of our colonial past, but not to be stuck in the pessimism that dark memories can breed. They wanted us to turn darkness into positive energy, the way they did it in concentration camps. Instead of breaking down in the camps and breaking down because of colonial brutality, they only became stronger. But there are other reasons also why our founding fathers brought us to this place of national remembrance. Each time we gather here, they wanted us to face our national fears and demons with courage, more so because no condition can be considered permanent. They wanted us never to question in the dark decisions we made in the light, mainly because the long walk to freedom was a walk of faith. Most of our liberators had no idea whether or when freedom would come. In fact, many confessed in their memoirs that many times they had doubt that their cause would ever see the light of day. And although their walk to freedom was long and hard, the only thing that sustained them was the burning conviction of the righteousness of their cause. They were troubled on every side, but never distressed. They were perplexed, but they never fell into despair. So, fellow Kenyans, when we congregate at this place of remembrance, we are all called on to renew the soul of our nation. We are called to appreciate the pain felt and sacrifices made by those who went before us. The fallen soldiers and heroes buried in unmarked graves in prisons and camps all over our country. And that is why the project under construction behind us was initiated. Apart from being a place of remembrance and healing, this place will be an arena where the past, the present, and the future will converge. When Kenyans walk through the Heroes Boulevard, their spirits will be edified by the sacrifice our liberators made. And at the end of the boulevard, there will be the tomb of the unknown warrior, a warrior whose name we do not know, although he died in battle for our country, and a warrior whose mother let him go, and both mother and son sacrificed so that we can be free. Once completed, this place of history will rekindle memories of our armed struggle and also the good, the bad, as well as the ugly of our history. At the Hall of Legends, it will bring alive our legendary ancestors, including Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, Mekatalili wa Menza, Koitalel Arap Samoei, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Nabongo Mumia, Laibon Lenana, Dedan Kimathi, among many others. At the Tunnel of Martyrs, we will have a solemn memorial to each and every Kenyan who has lost their lives in the many watershed moments. This will range from the First to the Second World War, all the way to the victims of the post-election violence of 2008. In the rope gallery of this museum, a named rope will be dedicated to every one of the 1,090 heroic souls that were hanged during the colonial era. And at the Moments of Darkness gallery, we shall display the history of our country, of our lowest moments, the moments that we regret but are part of our history. But not all the galleries will be sad news. The Hall of Innovation in this museum will celebrate the brilliant, game-changing ideas produced by Kenyans. This hall will speak to the future and how our past has guided it. And the hall, again behind me, marked by a pointed spear, will characterize our latest exploits, our moments of great hope and national pride, and our bold path into the future. So, fellow Kenyans, this place will be a book of history, an illumination of the future, weaved in hope, written in pictures, sculptures, and historic artifacts. And although the place of remembrance will also be a place of pain, it will also be an altar for historical forgiveness. As Kenyans walk through the galleries of the heroes and legends, they must forgive those who trespassed against them. However, they must also heed the call from our founding father when he said, "We will forgive them, but we will never forget." We must forgive our transgressors, but we must never forget their name. Fellow Kenyans, finally our founding fathers brought us to this garden of remembrance to teach us that nation building is not a sprint, it is a relay. No single person or group of persons can make this undertaking alone. Liberation was achieved because it was a product of teamwork, and it must be recorded that the founding fathers were not a team because they worked together. They were a team because they reinforced each other and had deep respect and trust for one another. They taught us that nation building is like building a house. This endeavor is a product of teamwork and not individualism. They built a firm foundation for a prosperous Kenya. Others amongst them built the walls and others roofed the house. Everyone had a role to play, and no role was greater or lesser than the other. The same is true today as it was then. We are building a house called Kenya, and there is no place for one-manism in this project. It is the collective work of every able-bodied Kenyan. And yes, we will disagree at times, but in our disagreements, we must always remain respectful. In fact, respectful disagreements are what lead to reconciliation. More so, because when we disagree, it is a sign that we are making progress. The making of a nation and the building of a house are a living process. They cannot be static and must be dynamic. Errors are made sometimes, and renovations must correct them after the house is completed. Indeed, in the recent past, in December of 1991, it was established that the one-party system was a design error in our nationhood, and the advancement of the Republic had outlived its usefulness, and we made renovations and changed the system. In 2007, we ran into another defect in our nation-building project, and we discovered that the politics of exclusion, in which the winner takes all, was not good for our country, and we were bold enough to change our constitution and expand the executive in order to accommodate the excluded. And indeed, when the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and I shook hands on March 8th of 2018, it was because we saw a crack on the wall of our nation. We had run 2 elections that costed the country in excess of 1 trillion shillings. These losses made us see that we were staring at a nation divided right in the middle. But because we had disagreed respectfully, we knew that this was a mark of progress, and though it was difficult, the necessity, the reason, and recognition that we as Kenyans need each other, nation before self, as our forefathers had taught us, to come together reinforced our resolve. Therefore, again, I will continue to say that we need to come together and mend the crack on the wall of our nation, and this, I believe, is what necessitated the First Amendment to our Constitution. And although it encountered some legal obstacles, I say again today that BBI is just a dream deferred. One day, someday, it will happen. Because just as the country cannot survive ethnic majoritarianism and exclusion, just in the same breath, it cannot survive unfair and skewed representation. This is a design defect, and we must fix it. Fellow Kenyans, the Garden of the People, therefore, is not just a place of remembrance. It was gifted to us as a place where generations shall tell stories of where we have come from, where we are, and indeed where we are going. It is an arena of truth, narrated before God, verified by history, and reinforced by the acts of our founding fathers and each and every one of us as we move through life. And it is a convergence point between our past, our present. It must also, therefore, be our guide for the future. Allow me, as I conclude, to give a thought towards that future. If the Asian tigers were at the same level of development as Kenya in 1963, and I remind Kenyans that our country, our nation, actually lent South Korea money to implement its development plan in 1963. The question we therefore must ask ourselves is, what happened? Why were we unable to develop as fast as those did? This future did not happen because we failed to plan for it. The future evaded us because we failed to imagine it. And I say so because imagination is more powerful than knowledge. For the past to have an impact on our future, we must constantly imagine and reimagine it. Indeed, as we envision the future, we are also reminded that in 8 years' time, our economic blueprint, that is the Kenya Vision 2030, will have run its course. By then, Kenya will be home to a projected 63 million citizens. And as Kenya turns 100 in the year 2063, we will be home to 100 million citizens. For us to secure the elusive shared prosperity and intergenerational equity, we must be bold in our imagination of Kenya at 100. But our imagination cannot follow the popular path. It must follow the bold path. And indeed, Vision 2063 must be a bold imagination of what Kenya will be at 100 years. The solemn duty of framing how this vision looks is the task of our generation. Indeed, as our children will walk through the Boulevard of Heroes in this park and play in the Pavilion of Reflection, what account of ourselves will we have left in this unedited place of history? It must be written in this unedited book of history that we chose the bold path over the popular path. Indeed, as it is said, the lion is not the strongest animal in the savannah, neither is it the biggest, neither is it the shrewdest, but it is the boldest, and that is why it is the king. Indeed, it is for this very same reason that it is said that an army of sheep led by a lion can defeat an army of lions led by a sheep. The future of Kenya, inspired by the past and present, must be about a brave imagination. That is why today I congratulate the young men and women of the 19th Battalion of the Kenya Rifles, to whom I have presented the presidential and regimental colors today. We must celebrate our defense forces because when they go to war in the defense of our borders, they know too well that they will either return hoisting our national flag or return wrapped in our national flag. This takes boldness and dedication. So, fellow Kenyans, as I now end my address, I want to remind of a promise I made on the 20th of October 2021, where I directed the Ministry of Energy to fast-track the implementation of the recommendations of the Presidential Task Force on Power Purchase Agreements. I am pleased to note that the pathway to reduce the cost of electricity by over 30% is on course. In honor of this pledge to the nation and response to the concerns of the high cost of electricity raised both by individual customers and enterprises, I am pleased to announce to the nation that the reduction of the cost of electricity will be implemented in 2 tranches of 15% each, with the first 15% achieved through initial actions focusing on system and commercial losses, and this will be reflected in people's bills in December of this year. A further 15% reduction will happen in the first quarter of 2022. In realizing the second tranche of reduction in power bills, I note that the Ministry of Energy and other government departments have initiated engagement with independent power producers aimed at renegotiation of power purchase agreements so as to give our country better value for money for our consumers. I urge the power producers to demonstrate goodwill as we seek to make our energy sector a greater catalyst of our national development. So as we move to the new year 2022, I would wish to leave you with the words of our founding president as he wished our new republic a Merry Christmas 57 years ago. And in it he urged our good men and women to be of service to their fellow countrymen. And indeed his New Year message was, and I quote, "Let everyone who is educated teach others to read and write. Let every man who is healthy help a man who is sick. Let every man who has work find some prospect for a man that is poor and not employed. Let service be our inspiration for the future," end of quote. And with this message, I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2022. Asanteni sana wenzangu. Leo nimesema sitaongea mengi. Juzi nilipata nafasi kule bunge ya kutaja mambo mbalimbali ambayo serikali ambayo naiongoza tumeweza kuyatenda. Siku ya leo ni siku ya kukumbuka mashujaa wale ambao walipigania uhuru wa taifa hili letu la Kenya, wale ambao wamepigania demokrasi ya taifa hili letu la Kenya. Na hapa ambapo tulipo ni pahali ambapo patasaidia sisi kama Wakenya kujikumbusha mema na mazuri ambayo tumeweza kuyatenda, yale mabaya ambayo tumepitia na ambayo tuwatakikana tusome ndio tusirudie, na pia yale maovu ambayo yametendeka ambaye lazima kama nchi tujikinge na tuhakikishe ya kwamba hatuwezi tena kurudi kwa umwagikaji wa damu. Ningependa nichukue fursa hii kushukuru wote ambao tumefanya kazi pamoja na wao katika huu mradi wa kujenga hii Uhuru Gardens. Nianze kwanza kwa kushukuru jeshi letu kupitia wewe CDF na wenzako. Jeshi limejikaza kabisa pamoja na wengine, na tujue ya kwamba hata ule mtu ambaye amechora na wale ambao wamekuwa ma-engineers wote ni wananchi na watoto wa jamhuri hii yetu ya Kenya, na tunawashukuru na tunasema ya kwamba mbele ya mwezi wa 4 mwaka ujao tutarudi hapa kufungua museum ambayo iko hapa na kufungua hii uwanja kikamili kwa wale wote wananchi wote, watoto wa shule bila malipo waweze kutembea, wajionee historia yao, wajionee pahali ambapo wametoka, wajifunze kutoka babu zetu na waweze kujua pahali ambapo wangependa kupeleka nchi hii. Ningefanya makosa kama singemshukuru moja kati yetu hapa ambaye tumekuwa tukiongea na yeye kutoka miezi karibu 14 wakati nilianza hii project ya Uhuru Gardens, ambaye tumetembea na yeye hapa sana na amenipatia mawaidha. Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, nasema asante sana kwa yale ambayo umetusaidia kutenda. Naonekana hawa wazee wanataka uwaongeleshe, kuja uwasalimie jameni.
Your Excellency, Rais wa Jamhuri wa Kenya, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Mama wa Taifa ya Jamhuri ya Kenya, Mama Ngina Kenyatta, Mama Margaret Kenyatta, Naibu wa Rais, viongozi wote wamefika hapa siku ya leo. Harambee! 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 Nimesema hayo kwa sababu yale ndio yalifanyika hapa miaka 58 iliyopita. Your Excellency, I have only 2 things that I want to tell Kenyans today. First way is true what you have said here about these grounds. But Kenyans must also know that this ground was not chosen for no reason. One, there was a motion in Parliament, and I see the speakers here, then called Legico, about the site. Then there were 3 sites. One was along what was called Princess Elizabeth Highway, now Uhuru Highway, and that was Uhuru Park. The other one was called Mitchell Park, which is today called Jamhuri Park or ASK grounds. This one here was called open ground next to Nairobi Dam. This one was chosen because it was a concentration camp where, as the president has said, freedom fighters were tortured, like they were tortured in Hitler's Auschwitz and Buchenwald. Here, next to the Western Hotel, which is part of this ground, in Langata Primary School, there are torture chambers which have been preserved by the Museum of Kenya for people to know where we are coming from. Your Excellency, what you've done here is great. I'd asked you when you went to Namibia to go and look at what they have done. When you came back, you told me, we'll do better. We'll actually come up with the best in Africa. How we are going to remember our past. There are those who say, forget about the past. We want to look at the future. The past is very important because if you don't look at the past, you are likely to repeat the same mistakes made in the past. And here, Your Excellency, you say that you want history unedited here. People will come to know who Wayaki Wahinga was, who Haridhuku was, and so many of those our heroes here. Many of Kenyan patriots have worked here. Historians, geologists, anthropologists, political scientists, architects, engineers have worked here, and people are going to be surprised at what you've done here. It shows your vision for this nation, of our country. So we, therefore, Your Excellency, I want to congratulate you in front of fellow Kenyans here for the work that you've done, that will only be recognized many years after you've left office. So we congratulate you, and this land had been grabbed, but those land grabbers who do not see any open space and stop grabbing them. But you managed to retrieve it back for the benefit of our people, and it's going to remain truly Uhuru Gardens, where we also are going to bury our heroes and remember them for posterity. I thank you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Haya, kwa hayo machache na mengi, mimi nawatakia Wakenya kila laheri. Mungu awabariki. Mungu awabariki taifa letu la Kenya. Tuwe na Krismasi njema. Tuwe na mwaka mpya wa amani. Majaliwa ya Mwenyezi Mungu, tutaonana tena. Asanteni sana, kwaherini. Thank you very much.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Rais. Kwa heshima Mheshimiwa Rais, naomba tuketi kwa kifupi. Kwa heshima Mheshimiwa Rais, naomba uniruhusu niwaalike wachache utakao watunza medali mbalimbali. Head of Public Service, kindly if we could continue. Thank you, sir.
Your Excellency, sir, I wish to present to Your Excellency for conferment of awards and honors to the following persons for the distinguished and outstanding service they have rendered to this nation. You are not audible, so maybe you can recognize a performance. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Deputy President. Let me repeat again. Your Excellency, sir, I wish to present to Your Excellency for conferment of awards and honors to the following persons for the distinguished and outstanding service they have rendered to this nation. 1, the Order of the Burning Spear, under the category of the second class, Order of the Burning Spear, that is EBS. We have Engineer Kishan Singh Gehlot.
Engineer Gehlot is the founding chairman of Intersect Construction Limited and KJ Group. He is also the director Medanta Africare facility in East Africa. Your Excellency, he donated a large asphalt batching plant, ama kiwanda cha kutengeneza rami, with capacity of 128 metric tons per hour to Nairobi Metropolitan Service. This plant has greatly assisted in the tarmacking of roads in Nairobi to improve transport infrastructure in the city of Nairobi. He is awarded Elder of the Order of the Burning Spear, EBS, for his dedicated service to the public. Congratulations, Engineer, onyesha wananchi. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, under the same category, we have Dr. Willis Akware of the Ministry of Health.
Dr. Akwale is the chairman National COVID-19 Vaccines Deployment Task Force in the Ministry of Health. Under his leadership, the country has administered over 8 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines. He has also coordinated the receipt of over 10 million assorted vaccines from the COVAX program and other donors. This has strengthened our country's efforts against COVID-19. He is awarded Elder of the Order of the Burning Spear, EBS, for dedicated service. Congratulations, Daktari. Asante, congratulations again.
Your Excellency, the next category is the Order of the Grand Warrior of Kenya, OGW. We have Sergeant Salim Mohammed Salim Buna.
Sergeant Salim Mohammed was enlisted in the Kenya Defense Forces in 1992. On 3rd of September 2020, during the capture of Kismayu, they encountered an improvised explosive device attack and heavy gunfire from the enemy. One of their vehicles lost control, while in another vehicle, he proceeded to the scene to save his colleagues. Despite being shot at 5 times in his right leg, he selflessly fought to save his colleagues. As a result of the injuries, he had to undergo knee replacement surgery. His heroic act saved the lives of his colleagues and managed to rescue the service vehicle from enemy capture. He is awarded Order of the Grand Warrior of Kenya, OGW. Congratulations. Congratulations, Sergeant. Asante sana.
The next one, sir, is Ms. Faith Shemketish Kipiegon.
Faith Kipiegon is a middle distance runner specializing in 1500 meters. She won a gold medal during the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, and she has won gold medals at the 2011 World Under 18 Championships and the 2012 World Under 20 Championships. The national anthem of Kenya was played as the world listened due to her heroic victory. Your Excellency, she is awarded the Order of the Grand Warrior of Kenya for her exemplary performance. Congratulations, you can show the public. Asante sana waonyeshe. Asante, tumshukuru.
The last under that category, Your Excellency, is Ms. Perez Shepchil.
Perez Jepchepchil is a professional long-distance runner. She won a gold medal during the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games in women's marathon, the toughest race in the Olympics. She has also won gold medal at the IAAF World Half Marathon Championships in 2016 and again gold at the World Championships 2020. She is also a former half marathon world record champion. She is awarded the Order of the Grand Warrior of Kenya, OGW, for exemplary performance. Asante tuonyeshe wananchi, asante sana, and congratulations again.
The last category, sir, is the Silver Star of Kenya, that is SS. We have Captain Ari Chitalo Lamadhan.
Corporal Shitiaro is specialized in counter-terrorism. On 18th May 2021 in Bonny Forest, he was one of the gunners who was instrumental in repulsing the enemy fire. While still executing his role as a gunner, he often conducted medical assistance to 2 of his seriously injured colleagues. During the intense gunfight, he was separated from his team and survived in Bonny Forest without food or water for a period of 6 days with 2 gunshot wounds in his legs. He is awarded the Silver Star of Kenya for bravery and self-sacrifice. Asante Kopro, tuonyeshe wananchi. Asante sana. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. That comes to the end.
Niombe sasa sote tusimame kwa wimbo wa taifa.
Yetu ilete baraka kwetu, haki iwe ngao na mlinzi, na tukae tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuwajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Katika uratibu huo na kisha baadaye tutakuwa
Uhuru Garden. And President Uhuru Kenyatta, of course, was leading Kenyans in commemorating, or rather, celebrating Jamhuri.
Wengine tafadhali tubaki kama tumetulia ili turuhusu mgeni wetu wa heshima aweze kuondoka mwanzo ndio tuweze kufuatia. Tafadhali tutulie sote popote tulipo.
In terms of the speeches we've heard from President Uhuru Kenyatta himself, who has spoken just a while ago, and also former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, as well as Deputy President William Ruto. Those are the only of course, leaders who have had an opportunity at least to address the visitors, the guests, and the members of the public who had converged here today for this particular event. Out of the and detain the freedom fighters, the heroes, the liberators of this country, and also the members of our history, where people, ordinary Kenyans, young and old, can come here and freely, without any charge, really to listen and be able to read and understand the history of this country. Of course, so much has happened in terms of the speeches. President Kenyatta saying he was not going to speak so much about what his administration has been able to achieve ever since he came into power in 2013 up to now. His last Jamhuri Day, last time in office for him, of course, in as far as Jamhuri Day is concerned. So on this very occasion, today is taking Kenyans back on the process that Kenyans have made this far, and what needs really to be done for this country to be able to make significant progress in as far as leadership and the unity of this country is concerned. And I think he has dwelt so much on the question of unity and why it is important for Kenyans to remain united, even as we head into next year's general election. And he's come out and said, the quest to change Kenya, the quest to build a new Kenya cannot be a one-man show. It is something that calls for all and sundry. Challenging the leadership, of course, to see how they can unite together, and challenging also the ordinary Kenyans really to see into it how it is important to uphold the unity and peace that we are enjoying as a country as we speak today. He's also gone down the memory lane, or just reminding Kenyans how they came about the handshake that's between himself and the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and what it has been able to achieve in as far as the unity is concerned, and also revisiting the issue of the BBI, which has so far been halted through the courts. And President Uhuru Kenyatta has just alluded, of course, exuded rather confidence and optimism that whatever was contained in the BBI, whatever BBI intended to achieve, will be achieved at long last, regardless how it is going to take, how long it's going to take, that it must be achieved, because according to him, this is the magic job that provides a solution for so many problems that bedevil this nation. So generally, that is what has been of this event. We have had several other dignitaries present, of course, in this event. As you've heard in the speeches, Deputy President William Ruto also equally almost echoing what President Uhuru Kenyatta said in as far as unity is concerned, and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga also giving a very significant stress in as far as this particular ground is concerned, and why it is important for Kenyans really to learn and read about the history, because it is that history that informs us where we are and what we need to do moving into the future. So generally, that is what has been here. Musalia Mudavadi, the leader of ANC, was also present in this particular event, and of course the Chief Justice and the President of the Supreme Court, Madam Martha Koome, was equally present, alongside of course the speakers of both the bicameral houses, that is of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, and of course the Speaker of the Senate, Ken Lusaka, alongside so many other dignitaries, cabinet secretaries, section of governors were also present, senators and members of parliament. From myself here at the Uhuru Gardens, that is what we are able really to bring to you, but we will be able to give you comprehensive updates as regards to this particular event in our subsequent programming. Back to you in studio.